Some people have no work ethic and they need to learn work ethic. It all depends on your upbringing and who you are. So there are things that you need to change in how you're being in this world. The Thinking Yourself into Exponential Results series on the podcast comes to you every Saturday morning and takes what we discuss in the Morning Mindset Club, compiles it into one easy to access recording, and gives you some killer bonus content at the end that's not to be missed and only available here. So let's dive right in. The teaching you're about to hear goes deep into Napoleon Hill's 57 Famous Alibis by Old Man If. And fundamentally, we're going to go through each one. We're going to dive in. We're going to illuminate what might be happening when you use one of these alibis or something similar to it. You might use different words, but don't let yourself off the hook there. Look for the similarities. Look for the places where you're doing this so that you can grow yourself and learn from this material. But fundamentally, we're looking at when we step into victimhood in our lives and in our businesses. Where do we say, if only X, Y, and Z outside of ourselves was different, then I would be able to succeed. That gives all your power away. That says, I have no agency in my life. I am completely reactive and completely dependent on things outside of myself. And this is not true, yet it is, for many people, a perspective on life and themselves that they have been taught to hold. If that's you, don't beat yourself up about it. If you find yourself in many of these alibis, don't beat yourself up about it. However, you do want to hold yourself to a higher standard, gently, lovingly, compassionately, yet directly. Oh, look, I'm doing this. That's me in part, maybe in a small part, maybe in large part, and I could improve upon that. And pick a place where you can recognize that that's happening for you and make an incremental but quick shift in how you're approaching that. If you do that again and again and again, you will increase your ability to have complete and 100% control over your outcomes in life. So take this step by step, really step out of being a victim and into being someone who takes 100% personal responsibility for her life and is a creator of her life and her business, including her business revenue and income, which is so much a part of what we're going for here. Okay, with that, enjoy. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and let's get started. So we are looking at the 57 alibis, famous alibis by Old Man If, and we're taking them one by one to really go deep and look at how these show up for you in your life. If they show up for you in your life, I would hazard a guess that they're showing up for you in some way. You're recognizing yourself as someone who has thought that, done that, been that at some point in your life. Now, does this mean that you always do this or that it's like an all or nothing thing, black and white? Absolutely not. And in fact, if you look at these and say, well, I don't do that most of the time, and you discount the lesson in the recognition, you hold yourself back. You're stopping yourself from really learning this little nugget of a lesson and applying it to your life and really allowing it to grow you. So if you find yourself saying, that's not me, because you want to defend yourself, recognize that. And instead go ask yourself a better question. How do I do that? Is there a place where I do that? If I did do that, what would it look like for me? And how might I clean it up, right? Better my best, improve upon myself. And you could go into a whole story of like, how often do I have to do this? Or how long do I have to do this? And here's the thing, that is a fixed mindset. That is if only we could work for, that's working for the weekend. Okay. That's saying, if only I get there. And the truth is that as you live out to your potential grows. You will never reach your potential, however, ever, but you certainly won't experience the joy of growing yourself beyond your current limitations if you don't go for it. So said another way, you have to keep growing and keep bettering your best so that you experience that potential that you can see right now. And once you get there, you will realize that there is even more potential. It's like a mountain range. You get to the first peak and then you realize that there's another peak. And if you say to yourself, oh no, there's 5 more mountains, I'm never going to get there, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The point is you become someone for whom it's fun to climb the mountains. That's where the freedom comes in. That's where life becomes a freaking delight. And I want that for you. So that's the context of what we're doing here. And let's dive into the next alibi, which is if I had the personality of some people. If I had the personality of some people. Well, here's the thing. We do need a magnetic personality. We do need to have confidence. We do need to own ourselves, which means loving yourself and being unashamed of who you are in this world. However, we each do that uniquely. Confidence can look like quiet confidence. It doesn't have to look like speaking on stages or being an extrovert or being the life of the party or throwing the party. It doesn't have to look like what you're saying it needs to look like. However, you do need to own how you are in this world and show up fully as you. So if you're saying to yourself, if only I was more extroverted, more patient, more perceptive, more kind, more loyal, more something that you're not, there might be truth to that, right? Oftentimes we need to learn commitment. We need to learn to work at higher levels of honesty and integrity. We have to learn how to be respectful of people. Some people have that naturally. Some people need to learn it. Some people have no work ethic and they need to learn work ethic. It all depends on your upbringing and who you are. So there are things that you need to change in how you're being in this world. That said, you don't need to become someone you're not. You just need to be the best version of who you are. Okay, so if you're using this as an alibi, I have to be more X in terms of personality, vivacious. Some people have the reverse. I need to be more reticent, like hold back a little bit more. If you're saying any of those things, find the truth, the grain of truth in it, and then let go of the rest. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and thanks so much for joining me. Next up with this list of alibis is this one. Are you ready? If I were not so fat. Oh my God, this is such a big one in our society, especially for women. If I were not so fat, I would get that photo shoot done. If I were not so fat, I would go speak on stages. If I were not so fat, I would go buy pretty clothes. If I were not so fat, I would be able to be in that relationship. I would be able to have that kind of life. What are you saying is going to happen for you if you were not so fat? Now, here's the thing. I am not advocating for being overweight. I'm not advocating for being unhealthy. I'm not advocating for not having the body that you want and that you love. And I will very candidly admit being slightly overweight has been a thing for me. And I had to really change my self-image and become someone for whom that was not an option and a possibility, but it's very core and it's a challenge. Okay. I keep with that because it is something that is very core. It's a core self-image. You are not someone who is beautiful by society standards, right? That is that core self-image. Or I had that double bind of you can't be sexy and smart or beautiful and smart. And so I worked diligently to remap that self-image so that I create what I want in this world. But I have never stopped because of that. And neither should you. And if you do, you have to look at that. I remember distinctly a conversation that I had with a potential client. This was many years ago. She wanted to be a singer. She wanted to be a very famous singer and sing on stages. And she was saying that she couldn't do it because she was overweight and that she was fat and that she had to lose weight first before she could be a singer. And I was just flabbergasted. What about Adele, right? What about all the opera singers? What about all the people out there who are not perfect bodies and are successful? Now, I am not arguing that the world doesn't give adoration to people who have a certain body size and a certain body shape. I'm not saying that you won't have trolls out there and haters out there who have nothing better to do than to disrespect you based on, how you look in your body size. That happens, and you have to have a thick skin. Otherwise, you're saying, I'm going to be a victim of what other people say and think. And you need to be unavailable for that. You need to decide who you want to be and what you want for your life. And if it's not having excess weight, then make that change for yourself, for sure. But do not put your life on hold while you're making that change. Do not. And this requires that you go for it no matter what. And you have to want what you want more than you want the safety from the critics, if you will. And here's the rub. The biggest critic is probably in your own head. And that's the one that you need to just say, hey, baby, I'm not available for this. Let's not do this anymore. And shift out of it. So if you're using your weight as a reason not to do something, then you have to look at that and you have to make a choice to do it anyway. Go for it. Be unstoppable. Do not hold yourself back. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and let's get started. So next up in the list of alibis is if my talents were known. If my talents were known. So this is like all of these victim mentality. You're giving your power over to other people. I would be able to do great things in this world if people only saw me. Well, guess who's responsible for people seeing you? For people knowing you, for people recognizing your talents. You are. You are. So what could you do differently today to make your talents more visible? I don't care if you work in a job and you need to make your talents more visible to your team members, to your boss, to the head of the company, to your manager, or if you work for yourself and you need to make your talents more visible, seen, known to your clients. It's called marketing. It's called public relations. It's PR. You've got to put yourself out there. No one's going to do that for you. You have to do it for yourself. Now, you don't have to be a braggart. You don't have to be brash about it, but you do need to share with the world and make it clear what your talents are. You need to connect the dots for people. So where are you saying people just don't recognize my talent? People aren't seeing it. People don't know. And then look at solving that problem. What could you do differently today? Not tomorrow, not next week, not in a month, but today to help people really connect the dots on your talents. And quite frankly, first you have to recognize that what you have is a talent. articulate that for yourself first, and then figure out how to articulate it for other people. Good morning and welcome to a great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and let's get started. So next up in our list of alibis is if I could only get a break. Now we hear this so often in the realm of sales, but also in the realm of entertainment, like with actors and with musicians. If I could only get a break, if I could only break into the industry. And yet this again is victim mentality. This is saying life is happening to me instead of for me. And it's saying life is happening to me instead of I'm creating my outcomes. I'm creating my life. So if there is a break that you want, if there is something that you want to happen, you have to put yourself in the way of opportunity. Now, how do you do that? Well, there is tactical, strategic, conscious planning on that. And then there is the more woo-woo, the less delineated by conscious choice, but equally as, or even sometimes more powerful than the tactical plan. So the tactical plan looks like, okay, if I want a break, what would a break look like? Who would help me create a break? How do I put myself in front of those people? So that would be then looking at all the steps that lead up to that. What would I need to be doing? Where would I need to be hanging out? Who would I need to be helping, serving, befriending, all of that, and putting yourself in the way of opportunity and being strategic about that. The more woo-woo side of things is Spirit is always telling you exactly what your next step is and exactly how to get exactly what you want. And you have to be willing and able to listen and act on it. That looks like being open and receptive. You get the idea, and then you have to act on it. You have to create that break, if you will, by taking the actions that you get that might seem a little cray-cray in the beginning until you get the hang of this and you're like, where did that idea come from? Okay, that idea, I know that's the feeling of the idea coming from Spirit. I'm going to act on that, even though I'm not certain about it, even though I don't know exactly why I'm being told to do this. I'm going to do it anyways. And that looks like picking up the phone, making that phone call, taking the action, doing the thing. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and let's get started. Okay, next up in our list here is if I could only get out of debt. So that's an alibi. If I could only get out of debt, what would you do? What would get to happen for you? Fill in the blank there. Make sure you know what you really want and why you're doing it. Okay? And then recognize that being in debt is simply an excuse for not doing the challenging things that are required to achieve what you want to accomplish, receive, experience. Now, that is not to say that having a lot of debt can feel insurmountable. It's always surmountable. Okay, there's always an answer. But having debt can be really stressful for people. Now, I will say that's because people have been shamed into thinking that it's a bad thing or makes you wrong to have debt. It's also stressful because people start seeing that there's no way out of it, that they couldn't work hard enough to get out of that debt given their current job and circumstances. So with those two things in mind, you have to look at what are your options around debt. And there are a lot of debt counseling agencies and ways to people and services out there to help you with debt and how to get out of it. Okay. So I would definitely look into that. Fundamentally though, you need to come up with a plan, put yourself on a plan and not keep thinking debt, but start thinking about generating more revenue. So figure out your debt repayment plan, map it out. How much are you doing to each credit card and to whatever people you owe every month, put that on autopilot, and then focus entirely from that point on creating more revenue. And you will be fine. But if you constantly think about debt, it will limit you from doing other things. You have to figure out a plan out, but you can't let being in debt stop you from taking the new action. Let me be super, super clear. Yes, you need to get out of debt. Yes, you need a plan for that. But being in debt is not a reason, an alibi for not taking the action on growing your life, growing your business, doing the things that you really want to create in your life. You have to go for it anyway once you put your plan for debt repayment in action. And even if you don't have a plan for debt repayment, don't use not having a plan as an excuse not to start on going after what you really want. You have to do that. You cannot use this as a reason to stay small. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I am so glad you joined us. I'm Amira Alvarez and let's get started. So the next alibi that we're looking at is if I hadn't failed. If I hadn't failed. So here's the thing, guys. Everyone makes mistakes, has epic mistakes, has things that look like failure. But I know you've all heard the adage, and if you haven't, here it is for the first time. It's only failure if you quit. It's only failure if you quit. So if you keep reliving that failure and you make that your stopping point, it becomes a beautiful excuse or alibi why you can't redeem yourself, why you can't actually keep going and become more. It's only failure if you quit. And some people die before they pick themselves up from the bootstraps, if you will, and get back in action again. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. Start today. If you hadn't failed, you wouldn't be human. If you hadn't failed, you wouldn't have tried something that was big and glorious and required courage. If you hadn't failed, you wouldn't learn how to better your best. You have to recognize that failure is a construct that keeps you stuck. It's only a perspective. Are there epic mistakes? Absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And are you going to let that stop you? Because you have to want your greatest life. You have to want to make your impact in this world. You have to want to live out to your potential. You have to want to experience the most that this world and life can give you, whatever that looks like. You have to want that more than your fear of failure, because there will be failures. But ultimately, you become someone who knows how to roll with them, not take them lightly, not be flip about it, not run roughshod over people. Oh, that was just a failure. That was just a mistake. No big deal. But someone who actually doesn't let it be the defining factor in their life, doesn't let it be something that holds them back from seeing themselves as worthy of what they truly desire and want. Because you get to have that. That is your divine right, but only if you act on it. No one's giving it to you. You have to create it. But that potential is there. Don't stop at failure. Good morning and welcome to another great day with the Morning Mindset Club. I'm Amira Alvarez and I am so happy you are here with me. Okay, let's go to our next alibi, which is if I only knew how. The hows. How do I do it? If I only knew how. That's a big one, guys. That is a big one. Many people don't put one foot in front of the other because they're waiting for certainty in the path forward. They're waiting to know all the steps. They're waiting to know how to do all the things. And of course, we need to learn, tactical skills. We need to increase our skill set. We absolutely need to learn how to do things. But if you think that you need to know how before you start, you will always remain stopped. Much of the how comes through experience, through the process of going forward. You learn how to do something. Now, you can also learn how to do things from mentors. You can also learn how to do things from coaches. You can also learn how to do things from colleagues, from courses, from books, from formal education. But most highly successful entrepreneurs will tell you that they learned how to do things through experience, through informal education, the experience of life, of doing it, and being willing to risk making a mistake and not having all the answers. Now, obviously, we want to shoot for excellence. Obviously, we don't want to make mistakes. And yet, sometimes that happens. You're probably tired of hearing me say that, but I need you to know, if you want to move forward and be unstoppable, you have to be willing to make mistakes. And that's wrapped up in not knowing all the hows. You will learn the how through the experience. Oh, that didn't work, but that did. Now, you can speed that up, shortcut that by working with a mentor. I certainly did that. Okay, you can speed that up by taking courses. I certainly did that. You can speed that up by putting yourself in an environment with other people who are going for more and have a ton of experience. I certainly have done that. Continue to do that. So if you want to know the how, go create the experience that's going to give you the how by taking action, by investing in mentorship, investing in courses, investing in books, putting yourself in the right environments. You can learn the how in so many different ways. But don't let not knowing it hold you back or stop you. Figure it out and go forward. And sometimes you have to go forward before you figure it out. Remember that. For the bonus content of this episode, I want to go back to the alibi. If I was not fat, I would ... fill in the blank. So first thing I want to say about this is that clearly this is something that has been around for a long time. It's not just our generation, our mother's generation. It's a long time back. Napoleon Hill conceived of and published this work, Think and Grow Rich, in the 20s and 30s of the 20th century. So that's almost a century ago, almost 100 years ago. And it's important to recognize that this is something that has challenged people for a long time. And if this is you, you've got to think about whether this is something that's actually holding you back and you want to change, or it's something that you're perfectly fine with and you're totally accepting of who you are at whatever weight you're at. Now, there's a huge body positivity movement going on right now, which I fully support. Hating on yourself, not loving your body is not helpful. So I really, truly support, seeing yourself in a positive light. However, if you know that this is you, if you know that you're using if I wasn't, 10 pounds overweight, 20 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, 100 pounds overweight, whatever it is for you, I would do X, Y, and Z. If there's some way that you're limiting your actions in this world, your visibility, how you're showing up and marketing your business, what you're claiming for yourself in terms of your business, like how you're putting yourself out there, what you're doing, if you are holding back in any way because of how you look, and here we're talking about weight-wise, but maybe it might be something else. Maybe it might be, another feature of your body, then I want you to approach this differently, because hating on yourself doesn't work. However, just being positive and saying everything is great and not acknowledging that you're actually using this as an excuse to hold you back doesn't work either. So you have to integrate both. You have to do something different. And what that looks like is really interesting. So you have to love yourself as you are now, wholly and completely, as best you can. Okay, that you can be a work in progress there. Don't get hung up in the absoluteness of that statement. So you love yourself now as you hold a new self-image for yourself. So you can't reject yourself as you are now, because that creates an energetic mental picture of rejection. And that is what we keep recreating. We keep recreating what we think about. What we resist persists. It's an adage that is true. So you have to change both how you see yourself positively instead of rejecting yourself, and you have to hold a new self-image of who you are and how you imagine yourself to be. Like fix that in your mind. You have to love yourself as you are now and hold that new self-image. So what people get caught up in is they either say, I can't hold that self-image because look, I'm this right now. That's a lie to myself. You're using your imagination. Don't think of it as a lie. You're using your imagination. The other thing that happens for people is they get caught up in rejecting how they are now, being so frustrated and quite frankly hateful on themselves. Like, how could I still be doing this after all this time? Why can't I get it together? Why can't I just, have some self-discipline? All those messages in your mind, they do that while they're trying to hold this new self-image, and that doesn't work. You need both. You need to appreciate who you are now, love who you are now, start falling in love with who you are now while you hold a self-image of who you want to be, what you're creating for yourself. That's going to set you free for this and so many things if you apply it. And again, just a quick shout out here. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, we go deep into it and create a huge amount of accountability and focus and give you tools and the intellectual understanding of how to do all of this, how to really change who you're being in this world so you get different results. If you're interested in that for your life and for your business, I work primarily with women who have businesses, and we work on their business goals. And we don't ignore their life goals because it's all integrated. If you're interested in that, reach out to us, book a consult, which you can find on our website, and have a conversation with us about the Spirit of Wealth Mastermind and Masterclass. That's the best place for you to really get this kind of information and hold yourself accountable to really, truly changing. So with that, rock it out, be unstoppable, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us and for being part of the Unstoppable Woman movement. This special series is a part of our Morning Mindset Club and comes to you here on the podcast every Saturday morning. If you'd like to join the Morning Mindset Club at no charge, you won't have to wait a whole week and can listen to this series in short daily snippets every morning. Plus, you'll get a quick implementation practice and mastery check-in to go along with it. You can find the Morning Mindset Club info in the show notes below, or just head over to theunstoppablewoman.com/mindset club. And as always, please share this podcast with 2 or 3 women who are ready for exponential growth and exponential wealth. And if you're game, we always appreciate a review on iTunes. That really helps us reach and elevate more women. Thanks so much, and be unstoppable.